Hello viewers, it is your favorite spoiler from the recap room. For more updates, stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Episode 7 of The Last Frontier opens with a flashback. When Frank's daughter requests hot chocolate, he goes to grab food with his son and daughter. Ruby goes to their car to jot down one of her ideas while they are getting their dinner. A passing car shoots at Frank as he comes back to his vehicle. Ruby is also struck by one of the shots. Frank hugs her close in his arms and watches as her daughter's life fades. In order to show his relationship with the pistol within his home, this flashback scenario is essential. The action shifts to the present, with Frank's group debating Havlock's case. Frank chooses to talk to Thiago in order to provide them with some information. Sydney requests to participate as well. Sydney becomes enraged as soon as Thiago starts talking and puts Thiago in danger. Havlock is listening to the entire exchange. Talking does not assist Thiago, and they become sidetracked when one of the fugitives starts to assault Frank's teammates. Nevertheless, the fugitive eventually electrocutes Frank just as he is ready to kill him. When the electricity is restored. He died because he was standing on a puddle of water. Jacqueline Bradford meets someone and talks to them about Sydney's father's relationship with Thiago. It is discovered that Thiago was the protégé of Sydney's father. This man asks Sydney if she was aware of this fact and informs Bradford that she must contain the circumstance, else things would not be favorable. Sydney talks to Frank about her background and how he harmed others as The Last Frontier episode 7 goes on. There is a noticeable depth to their talk that strikes a chord. Frank talks about the pictures with his teammates. Sydney speculates that the subjects of the photos may be deceased because they are older than 25 years. By the end of this episode of The Last Frontier, everything has radically changed, even though her remarks don't seem to have any deeper meaning. Sydney enters Thiago's cage to investigate after realizing that he might be wired. Before Frank can stop her, Sydney pulls out Thiago's wire and exposes that Havlock has been listening to them all along. Frank makes the decision to return home and talk to his wife and children about the gun. They are utterly shocked when he tells them the truth. When Frank's kid learns that he has been holding himself responsible for his sister's death when it was actually his father's responsibility, he is horrified. He leaves after receiving an emergency call. When he returns, Hutch informs him that Havlock was listening to them when he traced the signal. Frank and his group arrive to the site fast, but they are unable to locate Havlock. Jamal is attacked by Havlock, who also informs him of the information he sent to the cloud server. In order to retrieve his data, he instructs him to provide the address of the designated post. The search for Frank resumes. Frank knew the route Havlock would take, so he and Sydney decided to take a helicopter to capture him. Frank tells Sydney about Ruby and his past while they are in flight. They have a touching moment together. Frank soon catches up to Havlock, causing him to lose control of the vehicle and fall. At last, they manage to capture Frank. Frank instructs the FBI to bring Sydney along when they seize Havlock at the conclusion of this episode of The Last Frontier. Frank arrives home and finds his wife's letter. They had left him and are not in the house. Frank walks outside his house on the swing after taking a picture of Ruby. When he has an epiphany, he thinks on the recent events. He understands that Sydney, the young child in the photo, is the one responsible for everything. As he starts to piece together the case, he telephones Hutch right away to inform him that she downed the plane, she's calling the shots, and that she is the one responsible for everything. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more updates.